Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Theodora, and if you're new here, hello, nice to meet you. So obviously you read the title, you've seen the thumbnail, you clicked the video, so let's just jump right into it. Where do I start? I don't know why I'm getting hot, I'm getting nervous. This story time sits very close to my heart, and I think it can help others that's either going through it or went through it. Like, I believe it's a very relatable story. I don't think I'm the only one who experienced it. And enough rambling, let me just start. So, December 2014. I had to be 20 years old. I was finishing my first fall semester in college. I attended Mega Evers. So I was finishing my fall semester, and my boyfriend at the time, maybe 2 weeks prior, he was like, hey, like, he calls me like, hey, like, I had a weird dream. Or he either said he had a weird dream or he has a feeling that I am pregnant and I should take a pregnancy test. At the time, he worked at a hospital and had access to like all their tools and stuff. So he was like, I'm gonna get you a pregnancy test and you're gonna take it. Later on that day, I seen him, he gave it to me. And I honestly did not feel pregnant. Like, what does it mean to feel pregnant, right? Back then I had an everyday bag, so I just placed it in my bag. I went everywhere, work, school, whatever. So as I started, it was the end of my fall semester. December, holidays were coming, my spirits were high. I got back all my grades from my classes and I was feeling real good, guys. I remember being in my school's cafeteria and just filled with life. Like, I was just happy, like life was good. I didn't really have no complaints. I was beginning to learn myself in new ways, and something just hit me, like while I'm talking to my friends in the cafeteria. Like, you have a pregnancy test in your bag, like you should go take it. Like, everything's going so great, like let's just do something to F everything up right now. I don't know. So I went to the bathroom, I got into the stall, and I looked in my bag, like I found the pregnancy test, and I took it. I just peed on the stick, and I remember immediately, like, it didn't even take a second. Like, I don't know if it's less than a second, but instantly, as I peed on the stick, the 2 lines appeared. And I was just like, I wasn't mad, I wasn't angry, I wasn't sad. I was literally emotionless. I didn't have any thoughts. Like, my first instinct was like, girl, you just booked a trip to Vegas. Like, so as you guys know from my other story time, I go to Vegas every year, and that year in particular was my first year to go to Vegas. So it's December, I had booked for May, you know, crazy. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna tell Felicia? Like, Felicia's last video, like, what am I gonna tell her? Like, we booked this trip to go together. Like, I'm gonna be like, that's just what's going through my mind. Then I was like, you know what, I took a picture of it. I had it in my hands, and I just took the picture while I'm still in the stall, and I sent it to Dakota's father, and he instantly responds, and he goes, you need your nails done. Then I'm like, what the hell? So I just put my phone away, and then, like, before I even, so I started to put my clothes back on, and his mother calls me, Dakota's father. His mother calls me, and she goes, hey, like, how are you? I just got the news. You want me to come pick you up? And I'm like, sure. Like, I was done with classes for the day, so I'm like, okay, cool. So she came to pick me up, and she's just telling me how life is going to change, and like, you know, babies are blessings, but be sure that this is what you want to do. Like, she wasn't telling me what to do about my situation. I don't like to call it a situation, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I don't know. She wasn't telling me what to do about my pregnancy, but she was basically like guiding me, telling me, like, you know, these are the possibilities if you continue or whatever. So she dropped me home. The ride was about 15 minutes. And I just remember walking to my gate, and I was just like, could not, like, one, the thought of like terminating the pregnancy was like 2%, and then it was like a 98%, like, we gonna do this, we gonna find a way, like, you're gonna find a way to keep your stomach flat to go to Vegas, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. And then it was another part of me, it's just like, how am I gonna tell my mom, how am I gonna tell my sister, like, you know. And at the time, my older sister was 2 months pregnant, and we lived in the same household. So I was just like, how am I gonna do this? Like, I don't know. So instantly, like, I went to my room and I had a plug-in like right behind my bed, and it's like, once you find out you're pregnant, automatically you're sick. Like, it's crazy how the body works. So that started irritating me. And I remember, like, although I took the stick pregnancy, and although I was starting to feel pregnant, like, everything was just like not tasting right, I was overeating, I just still needed like an extra confirmation that I was pregnant. So at the time, I was 20, I wasn't really taking the best care of myself, as far as like, I didn't go to the doctor every year. I literally only went to the doctor when I had an issue, like, oh, I have a rash on my skin. Oh, like, I didn't have like a regular doctor. So I remember I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the emergency room and I'm gonna say that, like, I'm in pain, I'm having cramps or something, which was a lie. I just wanted them to take a pregnancy test for me. So I went to the emergency room, and so happened I work at this hospital now. I went to the emergency room and I complained of my pain in my stomach. Long story short, they gave me this, like, I literally seen the lady use the same pregnancy test that I used, that my baby father gave me. She tested me and whatever, and I was just like, damn, like, I want an ultrasound, like, I took that test at home already. So again, they told me I was pregnant, and they gave me like a clinic to go to and stuff like that. Yes, Dakota? Yes! As I was saying, they gave me a list of clinics I could possibly go to follow up with the pregnancy, or like, you know, to terminate the pregnancy. So in my mind at that point, I'm keeping my baby. Like, me and Dakota's father at that time, like, we went through a lot together. Like, he was my first true love, but I didn't really see a future with him anymore. But besides that, I just knew, like, I needed to keep this baby. Like, this, like, I didn't know how I was gonna do it financially, but God himself, like, was just talking to me and was just like, this is you, this is your reality, like, you can't run away from this, like, this is happening. So I followed up, I went to the clinic. I was the type of person, I'm still the type of person, how do I explain it? Like, if something is important to you as much, if something is important to you as much as it should be, I shouldn't have to remind you about certain things. So I let him know, like, when I had like appointments and stuff like that, just to like follow up throughout the pregnancy. And he honestly would not remember, and he's just a forgetful person, honestly. But I just felt like if it was important to you as it is to me, I wouldn't have to remind you. So my friend Felicia was like my baby daddy throughout my whole pregnancy. Like, she went to every appointment with me. Sometimes it was 3 of us, because of course he had to be there to know the sex, and he loved to go to ultrasound appointments. But besides that, like the regular ones, he didn't really care, because nothing was really going on. From the first appointment, I went with him. We went together, and at that point I still was kind of like 2% this, 98% that, and I was just like, okay, whatever. Once I heard her heartbeat, it was like do-do-do-do-do, like, it was just so fast. And Dr. Christoph, she's my GYN to this day. Like, she's my first, like, she's the first person that made me feel comfortable with like doing the GYN stuff. I mean, that's still not my thing, but if I have any issue, any question, I go rushing to her. So whatever. I'm laying there, she put the ultrasound thing on my stomach, and once I heard it, I was just like, that's my baby. Like we're doing this, like with or without, like, you know, we're doing it. Let's fast forward a little bit. So at this point now, I'm 4 to 5 months pregnant, and my midwife urgently calls me one morning and she tells me I need to come in within the next hour. Now, usually my appointments, I would ask my friend Felicia to come with me, but I knew this news, I had to hear it by myself. When I walked in the room, my doctor told me like, hey, so I told you to come in because your blood work came back, and I don't remember the test, like, but I'll insert it like somewhere here. And basically, this test is done to majority everyone that's pregnant to predict if the baby's gonna have any any genetic problems and things of that nature. So she said my test came back false positive, and my heart dropped. I was just like, what does that mean? Like, what? She said, there's a chance that your child could be born with Down syndrome. Your test came back false positive, meaning it could have been taken too late within your pregnancy. So there is a follow-up test to confirm. So I'm like, okay, like, all right, cool. And I remember after my appointment, I had class, and girl, I cried. Like, just thinking about it now, I cried so hard on that train, and people were coming to me like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. And I don't really like the consoling thing, I mean, but I couldn't. I cried because, I mean, nobody wants their first child to have a problem. Nobody wants any child to have a problem. And me being so young, like, I didn't even know how to love myself, and then to love a child with a chromosomal problem, it was just like, I didn't know, like, and I commend anyone that went through that, whatever, because I know it's possible, right? So a couple of weeks pass, and the appointment comes up that confirms everything. Basically, I have to go to the hospital with Dakota's father, and they basically just went down the family line. So they asked if he had anybody in his family with like any chromosomal problems, me, all these questions, and they did a further blood test. And this blood test that they did is 99.9. So there's like a 1% chance that like the test didn't work, whatever. So when those test results came back, maybe 2 weeks later, they called me and was like, hey, Miss Malpoint, everything is good. You have nothing to worry about, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, that should have been it, right? I tell you guys, the remaining maybe 4 months of my pregnancy, that's all I could think about. Although they told me it was okay, that 1% just kept on playing in my mind. I'm just like, God, please, I can't. But on to other things. I take a pause on that. So at this point, I'm like 5 months pregnant, right? When it came to telling my friends, everyone was pretty much like, okay, like, this is what we least expected for you. Like, we don't even think you do anything, like you're having a baby. Like, I can't imagine it, right? Because I was kind of the first one of my clique, like my immediate friends, to have a kid. One of my best friends at the time, me and her stopped speaking about my pregnancy because I just didn't like how she was talking about my pregnancy. She was referring to it as a situation, and like, I'm ruining our lives, I'm ruining my life. It was just like, I mean, you don't have to be a part of this situation at all. And I get it, we were young back then, but it was just like, the words were very just uncalled for. We became back friends maybe like midway through the pregnancy, but she was just kind of just watching things play out, almost like, I'm gonna see what happens with your situation. Like, you know, I don't know, if you know what I'm trying to say, drop it down below. But she was just one of those friends, like, I'm gonna see what happens, like, no comment, because everything I say, quote unquote, gets you upset, but it was just like everything you said was negative. Okay, so now my mom, she found out I was pregnant, I want to say 3 months going on 4. My entire pregnancy was pretty much cool. Like, my stomach didn't pop out until about 7.5 months. Like, if I had on this dress, you would just see a little gut. Like, you wouldn't see like a round perfect belly. Like, it didn't look like nothing because I was so small. So prior to being pregnant, I was very much always at my boyfriend's house and just always at work, always outside. And my mom came in my room one day and was just like, I know you're pregnant. And I just looked at her like, on my bed, because that's all I did when I was pregnant, just lay in bed and watch Grey's Anatomy. She goes, I know you're pregnant. And I'm just laying there like this, and she goes, I don't know what you're gonna do about that baby, but it ain't staying in my house. You need to go. Wherever you had that baby at, you need to go back to that place, whatever. And she just kept on talking like, this is your first real semester in college, like, you're doing what you gotta do, and you're gonna have a baby, like, this is what you feel is right, you're gonna have a baby, like, this is not what I seen for you at all, blah blah blah. I had 2 pregnant people in my house, like, bro. She's like referring to me and my sister, and I'm just like, gosh. And she's just like, just destroying me with words. And I'm used to my mom doing that. That's just the type of person she is. And immediately, like, once she walked out my room, I just went online. I just started applying for jobs. I was working, but I wasn't making that much money. And I was just like, I need more money. Like, I need to know that I have a secure job after. Because I think at the time, I was working at Brooklyn Hospital part-time during the weekends. And I was working at Metro PCS, selling phones. Like, so it was good money as a single person. You could get up and go when you needed to, but it wasn't no real money. So yeah, that's how she found out. My sister, my older sister, the one I was pregnant with or whatever, we were actually 1 month apart. She found out because throughout my pregnancy, we like slowly grew a bond. Because prior to that, I'm gonna do a whole story time with her one day, because we literally, like, well, I don't know how she felt about me, but it was a good time in my life. I despised her. Like, it was just certain things she would do to me, or just her reactions to situations were just so ugly, and I just couldn't understand her. But like, now that I know myself, I can like look at other people and just try to like understand them more. So I get it now, but that's a whole nother story time. If you guys are interested on me telling a story time about how me and my sister grew a relationship after knowing each other for 20 years, let me know. And we lived in the same household. But she found out because, I don't know, like, while I was pregnant, while she was pregnant with her daughter, she was just being nicer to me, and I was accepting her being nice to me. So she would call me like, hey, I'm by your school, you want me to come pick you up? And I'm like, unlike you, but sure. And I was like, okay, cool. So I would just drive around with her and stuff like that. And she had to go pick up her check one day at her job, and she was like, oh, come with me. So I went with her, and she was like, oh, I gotta use the bathroom. So I went in the bathroom because it was like a really large bathroom, because I had to pee too. So she peed first, and right after she peed, she went to wash her hands. She was washing her hands, I went to use the bathroom. So, reminder, we're in the same room. I start to pee, I wipe myself, whatever, and she looks at me, she goes, you pregnant? Mind you, stomach is flat. I'm like 3 months at this point. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, I smell your prenatal pills in your pee. If you guys don't know, if you take iron or like any type of medication, most times like it goes straight through you, and you'll smell it in your pee. But her being pregnant and her senses being extra high, she smelled it. So I'm like, yeah. She was like, oh my gosh, like, how far along are you? Oh my God, we're about to be pregnant together. And I just didn't expect her response. I kind of felt like, wow, like this is another side of you that I've never really experienced. So on our car ride home, she's telling me like, you know, it's gonna be hard at first, but I know you'll figure it out. Just being very optimistic with me, and I was just like, wow, like I've never really seen a side of you, and that's really how we grew our bond. I mean, obviously, things weren't perfect throughout the entire pregnancy, but like she gave me like tough love sometimes, but it was what I needed, because you know, I used the tough love from her and my mom and just made it be my motivation to do better and not stay in a stagnant place and just grow. Now, okay, let's go back to me being 6-7 months pregnant. Yeah, like I said, I got the results back. Everything was fine, but in the back of my mind, I just still was just, what if that 1%? Like, what if? Everything's going good. My stomach started showing. Throughout this video, I will insert like videos to show you guys. I didn't take many videos because I was kind of depressed. Like my body was changing so fast, and a lot of the things you could not search. Like the way my stretch marks appeared on me was very dark. They came up as like polka dots. I'm gonna try to insert a video or a picture, whatever, and blur out. But my stretch marks came up as polka dots, like black, like dark polka dots. My neck got really dark, like, and towards the end of my pregnancy, the polka dots connected. It was so weird. I would ask my midwife at the time, like, what is this? And she was just like, girl, those are stretch marks. And I was just like, so is it ever gonna go away? She was just like, everyone's different, you know? And I had stretch marks at a young age from like 10. Like I just had a growth spurt. They was like all over my thighs, and I don't know. So stretch marks do like fade and go away throughout the years, because I can testify that I had stretch marks all over my thighs and they're pretty much gone now. But whatever, I digress. My body was changing too fast for my liking. Nothing at all fit me, but nobody's seen me growing. Like nobody actually seen me gaining weight. Like my stomach was just growing, but my thighs, everything was just big on me. Like my little house clothes, shorts, nothing fit me anymore. I was just wearing like dresses like this, and yeah. As my pregnancy went, I didn't really have any issues. Now my mother, she showed me the toughest love, like, and I didn't see it as that. I kind of seen it. It made me like kind of despise her, because I just didn't get it. Like, but as I said, as I learned myself, I learned other people. I grew to accept other people for who they are, and try to like have an understanding. Like, okay, it is what it is. But as I said, me and my sister was in the house together. My mom will wake up in the morning and cook breakfast for my sister and have lunch ready for her for when she decides to wake up, and nothing for me. Granted, I'm 20, like you can make your own breakfast, but just to feel that like love and just admiration for someone else's pregnancy, I didn't really get that from her. Like, and it just made me just kind of like, all right, whatever, like it is what it is. And you know, it hurt my feelings like really bad, but it didn't make me grow a hatred for her. It was just kind of like, cool. As time did go on, she did start cooking breakfast, but it kind of was just like, oh, here, you can have. But it wasn't like a grand plate like how she would do for my sister. It kind of was just like, whatever. What else can I say? The baby shower was nice. I worked throughout my entire pregnancy. I think I took a break from work when I reached 8 months, because it just was becoming like too tiring. I just didn't feel like going anymore. The environment that I worked at, like the bathroom wasn't too pleasant. There was mold growing in the bathroom. I was like, you know what? I can't expose myself to this. At this time, I had a good amount saved, which was absolutely nothing, now that I think about it. But to said, okay, I can make it through the pregnancy. And yeah, my baby shower came. That was beautiful. It was filled with love. Like everything that I thought I could do just seemed possible at the baby shower. Like, you're gonna be a great mom, you're gonna be able to take care of this baby. Like, the love was just there. Reading all the cards from the baby shower was just like so uplifting, so optimistic. And although I didn't have a plan, I just knew, like, I just knew I'll be able to do it. And I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I would just be a great mom. Like, I didn't even see myself here today, like in my apartment, just flourishing and working. And I didn't see it. I just knew it possible. So that's why when I hear people talk about their plans or where they want to be, and they ask themselves, like, how am I going to get it? Like, it's not a matter of how. It's, you just need to know what you want, or just have an idea or a vision, in the sense like, okay, I want this, but I don't know. It doesn't matter how you're going to get there. Just work towards it every day. And all I did was work on bettering myself, like, and then slowly a vision started to build in my head. And every day, like, I'm just adding more to the list, like. So yes, now baby shower came. I don't really have much to say about the baby shower. It was just filled with love. I didn't know I knew so much people, and so much people would be so happy for me. My baby shower was a day after my birthday. Yeah, my baby shower was July 19th, my birthday was July 18th. My birthday came, and throughout the pregnancy, don't get me wrong, like, I did have thoughts on trying to be with Dakota's father and making it work, because he would, like, you know, do little gestures to make me feel special and this, that, and third. But just inside of me, I just really knew, like, I just wanted the best for my baby. I just was like, okay, I don't want nobody to half-ass. Like, I just wanted somebody, like, fully. And I knew, like, he just had so much going on in his life, and his focus wasn't on me or Dakota. So I was just like, it's okay, we're gonna figure it out. Where was I going with that statement? It was my birthday. I turned 21 on my birthday. And I don't know, when I first found out I was pregnant, of course, everybody wants to be 21, but I was doing a lot before 21, as far as going clubbing and doing things like that. I was already doing it, so I wasn't looking forward to turning 21. I was just like, okay, that's just the age that I want to be, just to say I'm 21. So my 21st birthday came. I was always, like, popular, in a sense, like neighborhood popular. So my birthday would come and I'll get, like, a whole bunch of notifications, people telling me happy birthday, and I knew I wasn't doing anything special. So I just turned off all of the notifications on Facebook and Instagram, and literally I can count on my hand the people who called me to tell me happy birthday, because nobody remembered. So Dakota father being one of them, he did not remember my birthday. That night, we turned 12, I was with his sister. Dakota looked just like her now. She kind of looked like me. But I was with his sister, and, you know, we did a little happy birthday thing, and she made me feel special during that moment. And besides that, yeah, nobody knew it was my birthday. Even my best friend at the time, like, although I expressed to her that, like, yeah, I don't want to do this for my birthday, she really listened to me and did nothing for my birthday. Like, you know when somebody tell you something, literally did nothing. So I remember, I guess Dakota's father, it was like probably in the middle of the day, 6 p.m. His mother told him that it was my birthday, and his mother called me like, hey Dora, where are you? And then they pulled up on me in the middle of Junction and bought me some flowers, and I was just like, my birthday's basically over, it's 6 p.m. but thanks. And at that point, that's when I realized, I was like, okay, you can't be with this guy. Like, he can't even remember your birthday, your 21st birthday. Like, it was crazy. I remember to celebrate my birthday, I just bought a large plate of oxtail, rice and peas from Fisherman Cove, and I ate that. I could cry. And I ate my food, remember Dakota was just so happy while she was eating it. And I went to sleep. And that was my day. And I just was like, okay, whatever, it's your birthday. Your 21st birthday. And your birthday. I ate my food, I took a nap, and I think I went back to Dakota's father's house because I was back and forth between my mom's house and his father because, as I said, I didn't really feel the love in my house. Like, no, like my mom didn't really care for my pregnancy. She was kind of like, okay, whatever. And at his house, you know, they were like more like asking me like, oh, how are you doing? How you feeling today? Whatever. And I was like, okay, I'd rather be here than over there. So I slept, and I remember like his mother waking me up like, oh, like there's like a restaurant by their house, like, oh, let's go eat here, blah blah. And they like sung happy birthday to me. And I remember I didn't stay for the entire thing. I ended up like walking back to the house because I was just like out of it. I'm just like, whatever. Next morning, my baby shower, woke up, got my makeup done, and she did a really good job. I'm gonna put her Instagram right here, and I'm gonna put the video right here. I felt really beautiful because at that point in my pregnancy, I was looking like, what the hell, like neck dark, those spots all over my skin. And I headed to my mom's house, and I just seen that everybody was in the house just chilling. And I'm like, to my baby shower, like, why aren't you guys getting ready? Like, why are you guys gonna wait last minute to get ready? So me waiting on them, because I didn't want to arrive because the baby shower was at my baby father's house. So me waiting on them made me arrive to my baby shower really late because I didn't want to go by myself. I got there, and as I said, it was just so full of love. Everybody was in there and just like happy to see me. My baby father was there, and he was happy. Like, he was just really happy. He was smiling from ear to ear. And I was just like, it passed my mind like, maybe we could be a thing, like everybody's so happy for us, but then it left my mind as quick as it came in. And yeah, that was like a really nice moment. I got everything I needed for my baby shower. Like, I was so blessed to the point where my older sister didn't decide to have a baby shower because she just felt like she did it already, whatever, with her first child. And literally, Dakota was about nearly 1 year old, and I didn't have to buy her anything. I had so many gift cards, like anything out of my money. Like, I had so many gift cards, so much diapers and all that stuff. Like, me and my sister basically like just shared everything. So for it to sustain like both babies, that's like sustain both babies, that's crazy. I had like so much stuff for my baby shower. And yeah, so that was July 19th. My due date was August 12th. So from this point on, I'm just waiting for her to come. I'm full term, and I'm going to my appointments. I don't know why. I don't know if everybody gets stress tests. My doctor started making me go to stress tests every week. So every week I would go in. They'll have me sit on the bed, take my pulse and stuff like that, and just check on the baby. That was the quickest appointment I ever had. Like, just to go in to check my blood pressure and check the baby's heart rate. Now, on August 5th, I went into my stress test, and on this day, I looked busted. Like, I had like beat meal braids. Like, I probably had like 6, I don't know how my hair was. I think my hair was pulled back like this, but it wasn't like gelled or anything. It just looked crusty because I had intentions on, okay, I'm due next week. I'm gonna go get everything I need. Like, don't be me. Like, I don't know what made me decide to start packing for my delivery a week before. Don't be me. Don't be me at all. So I'm at my stress test, and they're checking my blood work. I mean, they're checking my blood pressure. They're checking the baby's pulse. And the nurse comes to me, and she goes, you know, Miss Mompoint, your stomach looks smaller than usual. And I was like, you know, this morning I woke up and I told my mother that, and you know, she was very like, oh, like she didn't really have much to say about it. Like, literally when I lay down, I can see Dakota's shape. Like, I can see her head, I could see her spine. And she goes, yeah, let's do an ultrasound. Like, I'm like, okay. Like within the same moment, like there was no like, oh, let me wait. No, same moment. And I didn't think nothing of it. I was just like, okay, whatever. So they put me on the ultrasound bed, did the ultrasound. She's like, Miss Mompoint, did your water break? There's no fluid in here. And I'm just like, what? No, my water didn't break. Like, what are you talking about? So she started panicking a little bit. She said, you know what? You just stay right here. So she leaves the room, comes back 5 minutes later. She's like, hey, the doctor wants to talk to you. Now, the hospital I was in for my stress test is not where I wanted to have my baby. I wanted to have her at like a nicer facility. Like, don't get me wrong, the facility is not bad. It's just not modern. So I was just like, okay. So long story short, I go to the doctor. He tells me, you're not leaving today. You're having this baby today. Your baby's breached. Last week when you came here, your baby was not breached. So between now and last week, your water broke or it was leaking and you didn't notice. And you've been in dry labor for X amount of time. And you have to have a C-section today. At that point in time, all I could think about is getting a wash and set and getting like a mani-pedi. Like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready. Like, I can't, not today. He goes, you're not leaving here. Like, you can't. Like, you're high risk. I mean, her heart rate is normal. Everything is fine. But you can't leave here. Like, there's no fluid in there. Like, she is going to become distressed if she stays in there any longer. So, at this point in time, I'm just like, freak it, got me. Like, just make the cut low and clean. And I remember I texted my sister. My best friend at the time was outside the waiting room waiting for me, like, to finish my appointment. Like, I remember we got food right before we walked in. So while everything's happening so quick, I text my sister. Everybody's calling me to confirm, like, wait, you haven't heard today? You haven't heard today? I'm like, yes. And one by one, people just start popping up. Like, you would have thought I was Beyonce. Like, the waiting room was flooded. And case after case, like, kept on coming in after me. That was more urgent than me. And it kept on, like, pushing me back. Because as the doctor said, my baby was not distressed, so I basically was just like waiting. At this time, I have like all my best friends here with me that like by the bed. Like, I had island burger, I had oxtail, like I had all my favorite meals just there, and they're like, we're all just joking. Like, it was a good moment. So everybody leaves, and now it's really just me, because unless it's the baby's father, you can't stay after a certain time. So Dakota's father, you know, doing his own thing, he left, and they basically said, okay, well, you know, I'm sorry, but a bunch of emergency cases came, but you're first thing in the morning. So that night I couldn't really sleep, because I'm just like imagining like how she would look, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Then I'm like, how can my water break and I didn't know? Like I never felt my panty being wet. Like, it was just regular. Like, so I started to think. Now, a few days before I came in for my appointment, my best friend Felicia was over, and we were online. And if you ever search how to get into labor, you'll see. I'm gonna put it right here just so you guys see what I've seen, because I'm sure it's the same thing. I seen raspberry tea leaf or something like that, nipple stimulation, which is like you can either put the pump on your breast. So I literally was doing everything that YouTube told me to do. Like, I had a breast pump, and I had the breast pump on it, trying to stimulate it. I did some questionable things. I won't speak on that. Maybe in the future I'll feel more comfortable. I went for a 2-mile walk. I had the raspberry tea. I had the pineapples, I think it was. And I just did everything that I thought would start my pregnancy. And in hindsight, when I was sitting there by myself, I'm like laying there by myself, I was like, okay, I definitely made my water break and I didn't notice. So that night, after that long walk, I went to sleep. And literally, when you're pregnant, well, when I was pregnant, I was a grizzly bear. I would sleep through anything, and I only woke up to pee at nighttime. So when I wake up to pee, I would literally walk to the bathroom with my eyes closed, looking out the wall, and I would pee and wipe, sometimes not even flush, and just walk back to my bed with my eyes closed, because I just didn't want anything to mess up my sleep. Because being pregnant is very uncomfortable towards the end of the stage, towards the end stages, and it's like when you was in a good sleep, like you don't want nothing to interrupt that. So one of those nights, I remember going to the bathroom 2 times, and the 2 times I went to the bathroom, what I heard, I don't know why instantly I didn't call the ambulance or have somebody drive me to the hospital, but I literally heard like a bucket of water being like poured into the toilet. But I just thought like, oh, I'm just peeing a lot. But in hindsight, I'm thinking like, girl, that's when your water broke. Like at that moment, you were in labor and you should have went to the hospital. And I believe that because my water broke and I didn't move quick enough, Dakota ended up being breached because she was uncomfortable at that point and she turned. That's my theory. Only God knows what truly happened. So the morning finally comes. Dakota's father is here and he's full of excitement. We're both ready to see our baby. And I remember my midwife comes to take pictures of us while we're laying there. Dakota's grandmother comes. Dakota's grandmother from his side comes, and everybody's just excited. I'm getting text messages because at this point my friends were with me all day the day prior, so they're like, okay, like let me know if you're really like about to go into the room. So I let my sister know, my sister Kai, Menasha, Felicia, and a few other people know that I was in labor, and they were just there like ready to go. Well, not in labor, I was going into surgery. And this moment, like, it's starting to fade in my head, but I could still smell what everything smelled like. Like thinking about it, my heart is racing the same way it was. So they prepped me. Throughout my pregnancy, I didn't shave because after a while you can't see down there, and yeah, there was no point. I wasn't doing anything anyway. So she came in and she shaved me. A nurse came in, shaved me, and prepped me for surgery. And basically, I think the anesthesiologist, I'll have it right here, they came in, read me my rights, and told me basically like, if everything is done right, step by step within the procedure of your C-section, and you die, it is not our responsibility. So just signing that was just like, oh my gosh, like there's a possibility I can die from this surgery. Like, are you serious? And like my family wouldn't be able to get anything from it if you guys quote unquote do everything right. So that was scary. And yeah, it was time to go. So my baby father was dressed in his outfit, and we went into the surgery room. They pushed my bed into what do you call it? Yeah, the surgery room. And I remember anesthesiologist was talking to me and prepping me, telling me if I felt this, if I felt that, how am I feeling, and it was making sure that I was staying calm because my heart rate was going up. So it was just talking me through the process. I forgot to say I did get the epidural. I don't know to what extent because I did have a C-section. I didn't push her out, so don't attack me. I think that was epidural. And as I laid on the bed, I was getting the most negative thoughts I ever thought of in my entire life. Like, it was just crazy. I was just like, God, like, if I don't make it through this surgery, like, please have everyone watch over my child. Like, I just want her to be good. I just want everything to be good. Like, I was just praying, asking for forgiveness for anything I could have possibly done wrong, even if I didn't think at the time it was wrong. Like, pregnancy, delivery is just something serious. So, and my baby father, like, he was just like holding my head. Like, I had like the blue thing, like a shower cap thing on my head, but not the same material. And he was just like holding my head, and then, because all these thoughts are going through my head, and I thought I was holding my composure, and then I started crying without even knowing. And I remember he wiped my tear and he's like, it's gonna be okay. And I'm just like, it's the nicest thing ever said to me, but okay. And they were like, okay, we're starting. And literally all you felt was like the tugging. Like I felt like I could feel them touching my skin, but I couldn't feel any pain. So that's something that next time around, I don't want to feel anything. Like, because literally I could feel them pulling me, but like obviously there's no pain, but I could just feel it. I didn't want to feel that. I just want to be completely numb. And I can say maybe 5 minutes or less, they had her out. And I heard her little cackling like, and then like, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And they came and placed her like right on my cheek. And I kind of was just like, oh my gosh, get her away from me. Like, I don't know, like that was my first thing, like get her away from me. I didn't say that obviously, but he was excited to see her and I was just kind of like freaked out. Like, I don't know why or what, but I was freaked out. I was happy she was out of me. I was happy she was safe, but I was truly just freaked out. And the doctor took a picture and she showed me more like angles of her because it was quick. It was kind of like this. They placed her on my chest for like 2 seconds and then they went into searching for whatever. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it's over. And at this point, it gets really fuzzy in my head. But it gets really fuzzy in my head. I remember them stitching me up. They said, your cut looks nice, everything looks good. I looked on the floor, I seen a bunch of blood. And I kind of blacked out. And I woke up in a room with other pregnant people that just either just delivered a baby or just had a C-section. And I was just sitting there, and then they brought her to me like in a rolly bed. And I was just looking, and at that point, now that I'm talking about it, I think that's when like my postpartum distress or whatever insecurity started to come, because I loved her, but I wasn't in love with her. I was just like, oh my God, that's really like me, but she looked nothing like me. Like, I couldn't picture her in my head, but I was kind of just like, I went through all of this body changes and all this, and you look just like them. Like her, she looked like her aunt, which is her father's sister. Don't get me wrong, Dakota was a beautiful baby, but it's just like, I thought she would have had something for me. Now Dakota's like kind of my twin, but I don't know, I was just like, I don't know. So I went to sleep. They tried to force me to breastfeed her. Nothing was coming out. And as I said, I had all those marks on my breasts, and for the most part, I was covered up. Like I had shirts like this on or higher because I didn't want to see it. So by them telling me to breastfeed and I was like forced to look at my breasts, it was like bothering me like really bad. So my camera's about to die. Let me wrap this up. So I had her now, and they're telling me like, oh, do you want pain medicine? Are you in pain? I stayed in the hospital for 4 days because when you have a C-section, you got to make sure everything is working properly and that you're able to pass stool and stuff like that. So I had to wait a little while to leave. And they were offering me pain medicine, but I did not want it. Like, I wasn't a little bit of pain, like burning pain on the line, on the incision. But besides that, I didn't really have much pain, and I felt like this is my baby. Like, I'm not about to, although they say the medicine won't affect them, I was watching a lot of pregnancy videos, and a lot of women feel that the babies are sluggish because they're like high on the medication that you're taking for your personal pain. So I didn't want her to have any of those problems. So I was like, okay. I didn't have any pain medicine after receiving the first pain medication. After receiving the first pain medication from the initial surgery, I didn't have any more. So the first night I slept, I was fine, and I woke up like around maybe 3. I shared a room with another lady, and her baby was crying, and then when she was able to put her baby to sleep, I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I started like hallucinating, and I was terrified. Like, I seen like body figures like just floating around me, and I was just like, oh no, like, are you trying to take my baby? I don't know if it was a dream. I don't know if it was actually happening. I don't know if it was the medication I was on, but it was terrifying, especially because I was by myself, technically, like within my curtain. I was just so scared. And when I woke up the next morning, I was like, yeah, I don't want nothing. Like, don't give me no medication. Like, I want to be in my right mind. And I was literally just counting down the days. The whole time I was in the hospital, my breast milk did not produce. Like, my breast started getting bigger and bigger, but and hard and lumpy, but it was just like nothing was coming out. Throughout everything, everybody came to see me, but my mom. My mom came to the hospital a day before I got discharged, and she bought me food or whatever, but it was very brief. And she came look at the baby. She's like, oh, okay. Like, I was happy she came, but I was kind of like, why are you like, I don't know, like, whatever. And then it was time to go home. And I knew where I stood with Dakota's father, so I was like, you know what? I had a choice of going to either his house or my house. I was like, you know, I know I would have more love at his house, and help, but I just go to my house and I'll figure it out. And from there, life changed drastically, as his mother told me. Like, Dakota was a pleasant baby, but of course, every baby wants to feel loved and held, and it was just like, I didn't want to spoil her, and I don't know, I didn't know how to be a mom. Like, my mom wasn't very affectionate growing up. She wasn't a bad mom, but she just wasn't very holding. So it was times like my sister would come home from work, she's like, why is Dakota just laying in the crib? Like, pick her up. And I'm like, she's sleeping, like, let her sleep. She's like, hold her, show her affection. It was just like, I didn't know how to do those things. So those were things I had to teach myself. And then it was just like, between teaching myself how to be a mom and just going through my body changes, I was just like lost, like completely lost. And I just wanted to get back to normal. And what I need everyone to know that's pregnant or that's about to be pregnant or whatever, you will never be the same you. And Dakota, literally, like, it was a butterfly effect. Like, I was a caterpillar and I transformed into a butterfly. Like, granted, I had my tough times where I'll cry in the shower because I'm like, damn, like, I had this whole baby and I don't, like, is anybody gonna love me? Like, how am I going to be in the next relationship, like, with all these scars and stuff like that? And I just prayed on it, and here I am today. But pregnancy definitely made me stronger and just more independent, and I just wanted to provide everything for my baby. I'm gonna stop this video here so I could go into like my postpartum effect and how I got through that and stuff like that, because this video is gonna be too long. But before you guys go, I just remembered I was in the most pain that I ever experienced in my life when I got home from the hospital. Like, I felt like chopping off my breasts. Like, if I had a sharp enough knife, I would have just cut them off because I was in so much pain. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I could not, no milk was coming out. I don't know why. But when I got home, like, I knew my body was in pain, but the pain was so bad, I didn't know where it was coming from. Like, I was like, okay, my cut is okay. Like, where's this pain coming from? I looked in the mirror and it clicked. My breasts were so huge. It was like my armpits, all this was like inflamed and swollen. It was just like terrible. And milk was just spewing out like, psst, like, both like was just spewing out. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, where's my pump? Like, I need to relieve this pain like right now. So I had a pump on one breast, I had Dakota on one. I was telling my mom, like, I need something, like, so she gave me like a heating pad. I see you guys in part 2.